Hi ladies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sammy George and I'm an independent makeup artist with Seint Beauty, and today we are doing a little get ready with me for Valentine's Day. And I'm so excited. We're gonna swatch some of our most popular pink and pink toned lip and cheeks, both glosses and some of our satins, and we are gonna create an eye look using our new shade of the month, which is Kiss. We're gonna do that in combination with some of the shades that just released and are still available from the artist birthday program. We are taking a 1 week break from our brush series. If you didn't see that, week by week, we're breaking down the Seint brushes. And also, did you see on Shorts, we have started an eyeshadow series. So we have some short form content to do easy to shade eye looks, especially for those of you that struggle with a hooded eye. So there's so much goodness coming. I hope you will stick around for today's video. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a thing. If you are ready for our Get Ready With Me today, here we go. So I thought about getting dressed up for today's video because Valentine's Day, date night, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to show you this cute little sweatshirt that my daughter and I got that we're gonna wear for like the Valentine's Day in school parties. So I'm like, well, let's just do a little look. Maybe it'll be a little too fancy for the sweatshirt, but I'm loving it. So mine is the cream with the little pink heart. And then it says all the love that you need on the back. And I love this shade of pink, but my daughter got a baby pink sweatshirt and hers is in white, and they're just so cute. So if you are looking for a good like mom and me outfit or something to wear into the classroom that isn't too fancy for Valentine's Day, hopefully when this releases, they're still available, but they were just from Target. Let's settle in and do some makeup. And of course, I am using my new pink compact that I've decked out in all of our pink lip and cheeks, pink illuminator. Maybe it's a little over the top, but this is our palette 18 that was just recently released for the artist birthday party. And I don't know if you guys can see, I'll have to show you some more in my office, but like white and black and then like some neutrals and pink are like, it's like my favorite. So when I saw this one come out, I was like, oh, I have to get it. So let's just do a quick application here so we can get into the fun part. But we are first color correcting. So if you ever have issues with what seems like your dark spots popping through, do you see the difference just that little bit of color corrector makes? And a lot of times people aren't matched to a color corrector because Seint's traditional foundation includes highlight, which is your main foundation color, contour, brightening highlight, and a lip and cheek. And while that works, awesome. Like I do it all the time, just using those shades when I'm like, I have 5 minutes to get out the door fast. If I have 7 to 10 minutes or I am really bothered by some of the discoloration on my skin, I'm always gonna start with my color corrector, because what that does is simply by applying it into these areas of the face, like my dark under eye, or I have a little bit of rosacea here, this sunspot, and I'm talking like the smallest amount of product and letting it kind of blend over that larger area where I have that discoloration, just that little bit of color correction underneath my other highlights makes like all the difference in the world. And I get really good longevity from my makeup. The key to this is matching the darkest points of your face first. We're used to matching our like main skin tone, putting it all over, and then when we want to brighten our under eye, we put on a really light concealer. And the issue with that, and you probably know as you age, is that oftentimes that bright concealer, well, one, it's really heavy. If you have a lot of darkness under the eyes, you know that putting a heavy concealer under the eye ends up emphasizing like your fine lines and wrinkles and your texture, which that's no good in my opinion. That is not what I am looking for. But also when you do that, it tends to like break up as the day goes on because you haven't actually taken care of the darkness. You've just masked it for a little while. So with this method here, and I have lots of videos on color correction. So if this is a method that you're like, I am not familiar with that, well, we can link one here in the description so that you can see that just a little bit of color correction makes a huge, huge difference in your overall makeup. And it's gonna look like this does not look like the color of my skin, right? And that's because I'm not looking to match the main color of my skin. I'm looking to match those dark points, and your artist will be able to help you with that. We match those dark points, and like right now I'm putting it on my eyelids because my eyelids are essentially like blue and purple. So if I can tone that down, then my eyeshadow color is actually gonna show much more true to the tone because I don't have that blue and purple underneath. And now all I'm doing is just slightly applying my main shade of foundation right to my eyelids to tone down the warmth of the color corrector and get me back to my skin tone. Put a little powder on there and we will be good to go. Okay, so color correction is done. I'm gonna go into the brush that we used last week for our all over face. And this is the blush and bronzer brush. And now all I'm doing is tapping in to a little bit of my product and now I'm gonna press it on. We wanna press after we've put the color corrector down. And even if you don't wear color corrector, you're gonna love your application probably so much more if you press this onto the skin versus going like this. You don't want to irritate the skin. You don't need that harsh process. But if you have put color corrector down, this is a tap on top of it so you don't move it sort of deal. We just color corrected strategically where we had that discoloration. We don't need to put color corrector where it doesn't need to go. And it's not meant to blend with this color. This color is meant to just be popped over top anywhere that you would traditionally put your foundation. So right now I'm putting it on top of anywhere I color corrected. Always put it on top of your color corrector and also just spreading it around so that now my face and my neck are gonna match. My dark points have been covered. I go to the center of the forehead here just to keep everything matching. We will contour next, and our contour also has coverage in it, which is why your three-dimensional foundation is actually comprised of your highlights and your contour. You only need to layer where you have discoloration. And I don't have any discoloration here, so I'm just gonna go right into this area with my contour. But that's it, color corrector is done. Main shade is on. Maybe pull that down the neck a little bit to keep everything matching. I'm gonna go back to that small brush around the eyes equals less product, which equals less texture. I'm just using a little bit of my main shade right where I put that color corrector, because my color corrector is too warm alone. It's the combo. Anywhere you put your color corrector, you tap your main shade over top. If you're ever worried about getting too heavy-handed, if you've ever felt like your makeup was like cakey or tacky, don't you worry. That's where our perfector sponge is gonna come in and save the day. Whether you layer or you don't layer, the perfector sponge is like the magic step that you don't wanna miss, because it just blends everything together so well and picks up excess product. So let's do some contour. I am going to use my favorite brush for contour, which is the detail brush. And today I'm using Ash. I haven't used it in a while, so it's probably a little bit dry. So I'm just gonna press in with a little bit more pressure until I get it on half the brush. By putting it on half the brush, start up at the ear and just tap along the top of that cheekbone to the outer corner of my eye. I can apply this light-handed. And now to blend, I'm gonna flick up. Contour is meant to frame the face, so we always want to flick up, not swipe across the face or drag it down. And because I didn't have anything on those top bristles, it kind of acts like the blending tool for me. So I start up here. The most product will distribute here first, the least here, and I don't want my face to look muddy. Tap, 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 and flick. Done. And this will be a subtle contour, nothing crazy. Same thing over here. I'm gonna hit the top of my ear, right on the top of that cheekbone. I'm gonna tap it to the outer corner of my eye, and now we're gonna flick up. Again, we kept those top bristles without anything on it, but since this has this nice knife edge, it just keeps everything a little bit more crisp, but yet really natural. Like, it still looks natural, even though I have that nice clean line. So where do we contour next? Now I'm just tapping in the whole brush, and I'm gonna go around my forehead. I don't have any other product here because I didn't have any discoloration there. And since my contour gives me coverage, this will be enough coverage for me. I'm going around my hairline. If you have a mature face and you're starting to sink in here, just stop above the temple. And now I also have like a little bit of a receding hairline, so I'm just gonna shove it right up in there, and it's just gonna help with that. So So we shove it up into the hairline so that we don't have any crazy lines, and now we don't want this line to be drastic, so I'm just kind of tapping that edge. A lot of people say their contour disappears, and that's more of an over blending issue. Yes, it could be a color issue, but oftentimes it's because while we're getting accustomed to contour, we don't put a ton on and we tend to really over blend it, where you can really just kind of tap, flick, and like diffuse that bottom line without rubbing it harshly at all. Now I'm gonna go underneath my jawline, so I'm back of the ear, and this is gonna help slim that jawline, which I'm here for it. Slim it out, right? Gonna go underneath the chin into that divot, and now I'm gonna pull down the neck, which is so hard to talk. I'm gonna pull down the neck just so everything is blended. Now you can pull down here, no big deal. All right, before I move on to a little bit of brightener, let's assess. Do we need anything else? I think we're good. If you're ever worried that your contour, like, oh, it feels really dark, especially if you're new, it's going to start to really work with the heat of your body, like within the first 5 or 10 minutes. So give it a little bit of time to warm up on the skin. There's a funny thing about this makeup that's different than other makeup. I feel like with liquid foundation, you love it the most in like the first 3 hours, and then it starts to dry and it loses some of that hydrated look, and it starts to crack a little bit in like under eye or wrinkly areas. It's like the opposite with this. I love my makeup 30 minutes and even after, more so than I do when I first do it, because there's some magic that occurs as it all starts to like work together with the warmth of your skin. I don't even know how to describe it. That was a terrible way to describe it, but I'm telling you, like if you ask people, they're like, oh yeah, my makeup gets better as the day goes on. I think that's like the magic of cream. Now I'm just putting a little bit underneath my bottom lip there, right in the middle, just to help pop that out. And I can't look at my lips on this camera anymore because they're so dehydrated. So let's put a little lip oil on. You know what I was thinking? I wonder if you guys have been around here, the lip oil and the lipstick that were released for the artist's birthday party sold out like instantaneously. So that's the lip oil that was gone in like a couple hours. And this is the Tom Ford dupe that sold out like at the end of the second day. And I've been wearing this combo of the lip oil with a little bit of, it's just like the lightest baby pink with a shimmer. And I was thinking, I wonder if they'll come back for Valentine's Day. Like that would be such a cute like thing to come back. So if they do, I highly recommend. The lip oil smells like birthday cake, very subtle. But I really like it. And I think it does a great job. If you're new to lip oils, like my favorite thing about them is they hydrate the lip, but they almost create like a little bit of a barrier. So if you wear a matte lip and you feel like matte lipstick, like just sticks to the wrinkles on your lips, which is how I feel, a lip oil underneath makes a huge difference. And I've been using these two. This is the Agave, I think it's called Lip Bite, and then the Winky Lux for the longest time underneath a matte lip, whether it's Seint or other, and I have just noticed the biggest difference. And now obviously I got two of these. So since I got these, this is what I've been wearing, even though I think my daughter's gonna end up stealing the other one. So let's continue on. All I'm gonna do, and we're just doing a natural face of makeup today. So now I'm gonna use my brightener. So this is my color corrector. It matches the darkest points of my skin. This was my all over foundation. I literally put it everywhere that I color corrected and anywhere else that I wanted coverage. Then I contoured, and now I'm gonna use just a little bit of a light hand of brightener. I just put a little bit of contour on here. I probably should make sure. That I get that off before I put this by my eyes, right? And I'm kind of just tapping in the side of the brush. And this is Palace. It has this pinky undertone to it, which I also find, well, one, it's not a huge brightening effect, which is kind of the phase of life that I'm in where I want my eye to be brighter, but I don't want it to be like a huge contrast. But I've also noticed that a little bit of a pink undertone also really helps with discoloration. And that's just kind of the color science of how it works. Like the colors that actually make up the under eye are typically on the opposite side of the color wheel as something like a pink, or something like my color corrector, which has some orange in it. So I have been liking this. If you are somebody who wears Aura or you wear White Peach, this is at the same depth. So it's like the same level of brightness, but it has a pink undertone, where Aura has a yellow undertone and White Peach has a white undertone, still some yellow in it, but it has a white undertone. This definitely has some pink, and I have really been liking it. So we have done a little bit of brightener, and I like to go underneath where you see like these wrinkles and that milia, because it's going to naturally blend. Like cream is going to extend, I should say. And if I go like right under here and tap it right onto that wrinkled area, it's just gonna start to like migrate and sit there, and I don't want that. I want the opposite of that. Now I'm gonna put a little bit between my brows. I have texture between the brows, so I'm always cautious not to be too heavy-handed there. Less is always more, especially if you color correct. If you take care of that darkness, you really only need a little bit of brightener. If you haven't been color correcting and you've been going right in with your brightening shade and you're noticing a lot of texture, you may benefit from a color corrector. So we color correct we brighten in the T-zone and around the eyes, because what we're looking to do with 3D foundation is create darkness around the perimeter and then brightness in the center of the face so that other people are drawn like directly to our eyes. So now that I've done those steps, those are our coverage steps. I am going in with my trusty perfector. It has already been prepped. You want to run this under cold water, soak it, wring it out so that it is damp and cool, but not wet. If it's wet, it's gonna pick the product up. So all I'm doing right now is pouncing this anywhere that I wanna make sure everything's blended, so we can really make sure all of those lines are diffused from our contour. And now I'm gonna take this end, and because I layered here and I don't want anything sitting, this is gonna remove excess. So it does an awesome job of picking up excess product. So like I said, if you are ever feeling like you're heavy-handed, this is your savior. Plus, it blends everything in and you are like good to go. Before we get into swatching and applying some lip and cheeks, I'm gonna do this one last step here. I'm gonna use my bronzer. This is Bella Bronzer, and I'm gonna mix it with my favorite glowing illuminator. It's called Glow Illuminator. On its own, it's probably too dark for my skin, but together, I think it just gives the most beautiful glow. So both of these products are sheer, which is why we use our perfector first. If we use our perfector after, the perfector is just gonna take this up off the face. So these are just sheer products that are gonna add some of that like summer warmth. And Bella Bronzer is the bronzer that I'm using. It doesn't have a lot of like a sheen to it. It just adds warmth, where Glow Illuminator definitely has some glow to it. So this is the illuminator, and that's gonna add a little bit more of that illumination, where this is the bronzer. So this one's gonna be, it's not matte, but it doesn't have a shining finish to it. So that's why I like to mix them, especially if you like to emulate that sun-kissed glow. Little Bella Bronzer and Glow Illuminator on the high points of the face, and I will tell you, man, does it make a huge difference. I do want to make sure that I pull this down my neck so that everything matches really well. And there we go. Let's swatch some lip and cheeks. I had to get picky because lip and cheeks are my absolute favorite, but I wanted to make sure that I had a good mix. Oh, these look so cute in the pink palette. Okay, so I wanted to make sure I had a good mix of tones and types. So we have some glosses and we have some satins, and then they are some that are really subtly pigmented and some that have deep pigmentation. So let's start with Summer Love. This is one that is a huge fan favorite on the lips. It is a very subtle pink gloss. It doesn't show up a ton on the cheeks. So if you like really subtle and you just want to add a little bit of that glossy sheen, Summer Love, that just might be for you. Now this is Candy. Candy was a super popular addition like 2 years ago. So this is Summer Love and this is Candy. This is where I stuck my finger in it. So always use your tin lids to remove your tins. So that is Candy. That one is, we're doing all glosses first. And this one is obviously more of that baby pink, and it does show on the lips really well. And it is a subtle, but definitely a pink that you can see. This is Cindy. So we'll do Cindy, La Cienega, Ruby, and Sunshine State. So this is Cindy. And oh, I did this finger. It's on this finger. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, so Cindy is a pinky peach, and it has a lot of pigment to it. It's gonna show up on the lips. It's gonna show up on the cheeks. This is La Cienega. Did you guys just hear something fall off my wall? Okay, so this is La Cienega. This is a personal favorite of mine. So La Cienega is a little bit different. Can you see that it has a little bit of a golden shimmer to it? It reminds me a lot of Kiss eyeshadow, which is our shade of the month. Kiss has a little bit more peach to it, but La Cienega is not only great alone, it is like a favorite for a lip color on somebody who loves glosses because it has pigment, but it's not super pigmented. But it's a great topper shade. So it's one of those shades where you can add just a little subtle punch and get that like shimmery color on top. It's great. Now, this girl is Ruby. Typically our glosses are not as pigmented as our satins. Ruby is the exception to that. And I'm telling you, Ruby is a universally beautiful shade. Like I know professional makeup artists who carry Ruby in their kit because it can be worn very sheer or very dark and looks so good on so many different skin tones. So we're kind of going a little bit up in like color scale here. And we're gonna end with the least pigmented of them all. That's our girl Sunshine State. Now part of our permanent collection after 4 years, but it is a very sheer, super popular topper shade. It looks like it's going to be a very pigmented color in the tin, but it is a very sheer pink with just a little bit of shimmer. And I do think it's one of the top all-time selling shades because it looks great over top of anything. So you can take any shade, any matte, any gloss, and just punch it up a little bit with Sunshine State. So again, we have Summer Love, Candy, Cindy, La Cienega, Ruby, and Sunshine State. We are back. The arm is cleaned off. We are ready for 3 of, I would say, our most popular satin shades. So this is Baby Watermelon, this is Hollywood, which is a dupe for NARS Orgasm, and this is Dahlia. So all 3 have some pink in them, but some different tones, so you can see what you like the most. So let's get to swatching. We're gonna start with our pinkiest pink of them all. This is Baby Watermelon, and you will see it is a cool toned pink, but it is pink. So if you like pink, this was one of our first shades ever released. Now this is Hollywood, which again is that dupe for NARS Orgasm. And it has, if you can see, it is a peachy pink with a little bit of a gold sheen to it. Very pretty. So you'll see this one looks even more matte than this one. This one does have a little bit more, like, it feels a little bit more glossy, but it is definitely the pigment of a satin. And then we have Dahlia, which is gonna move into our most vibrant of the shades. So doesn't it look different in the tin? Like, I feel like when you put them close together, it does look the same, but you assume this one's going to be a little bit more orange, where it is like the most gorgeous, like vibrant pink. So again, we have Baby Watermelon, we have Hollywood, and Dahlia. I'm having the hardest time deciding. I didn't decide before I started what combination I was gonna do. And I feel like I get stuck in like ruts where I just use like ones that I love all the time. So I feel like I should mix it up today. I have not used Hollywood in a while. So remember, it's highly pigmented, so a little goes a long way. If you're ever concerned that you may have gotten too much on the brush, tap it on the back of your hand first, kind of diffuse it, and then you can go in. And I'm just starting at the apples of my cheeks, 2 fingers away from my nostril, and bringing this up my contour line. And I could probably go a little bit more. But see how like subtle it can be worn? Even these ones that are highly pigmented don't have to be worn with a ton of pigment if you really just want to try something with just a little punch of color. So this is Hollywood, and I love it alone, but I feel like we should top it. I'm gonna put an illuminator on, and that has a pink base too. So let's top it with some La Cienega. So they both have that little bit of a golden undertone to them. This one's gonna have a little bit of pigment, but it's also gonna add some of that glow in, which I love. Okay, remember, your lip and cheek, just like your contour, is going to die down after a couple minutes. So give it a little time, especially when you first put it on. If you're like, oh my gosh, that looks so pigmented, it's gonna die down. So as you're doing the rest of your face, just let it sit for a second, and you can always then take your perfector and just tap onto it to diffuse it. Just like the bronzer, lip and cheeks don't give coverage, they're sheer. So if you take the perfector to it, top it with La Cienega, it's gonna pull some of it off. Or you could simply come back in with this brush and just tap a little bit more and diffuse that. Now, should we use the same color on the lips? I think I might do something a little bit bolder on the lips. I'm thinking, let me grab my brush. Grab the multitasker brush. This is my favorite for putting on lips. And I actually grabbed Indigo Contour because I'm thinking maybe we will do Ruby, which has that more dark pigmentation. Oh, I need my mirror. Has more of that dark pigmentation, even though it's a gloss. So I want to line with something that's going to have some depth to it. So anytime I'm using anything darker, I usually go with indigo. And I like to line the lips because I have no definition. And this will help that stand out. I'm going like on the top of the lip line just to make the most of my small lips. Let's grab some Ruby, and I'm gonna start out just like anything else, lightly. Look in this mirror over here. It's so pretty. And Ruby is one of those shades that can be worn just like this, which is obviously still a bolder lip, especially because I used indigo. If you use something like suede lip liner, it won't look as strong of a lip. But isn't that so pretty? Like the cheeks, like as even theirs are starting to die down, look a little more subtle now. And now kind of the lip is the focus. I try, and if I'm gonna do something more deep on the lips, unless I'm just going for it, like all out glam, I try not to have like my cheeks in competition with my lips or my eyes in competition. So even though we're gonna use a couple different shades, it's not gonna be a crazy bold eye look. Let's top it with that La Cienega for just a little bit more glossy, kind of that golden shine. And then I'm gonna put a little illuminator on the Cupid's bow to make it pop. There we go. What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments below what you think of these combos. Let's grab our illuminator and finish up this and do an eye look. All right, this is Angel Illuminator. So you'll see it is cooler. It has a little bit of that pink undertone to it. And now I'm never gonna tell you to swipe into your makeup, except if you are picking up some illuminator with your perfector. You should never be swiping in your tins to get any pigment on the brush. It'll just end up being chunky and you just don't need that much. So I'm just going to the high points right here and tapping on just a little bit for that added touch of shine. Like in traditional makeup land, this would be called a highlighter, but since our highlights are called highlights, this is called an illuminator, and I would say that's a pretty good name for it, as it definitely adds that little bit of illumination. And if you're somebody with mature skin, I would stick to a cream illuminator. It's way more forgiving, but we have beautiful powder illuminators too that also go really great as eyeshadows. Tell you what, dual purpose all the way. Now I'm gonna grab that same part of my perfector, and I'm just going to tap this like down onto that Cupid's bow for just that little pop. You can put a little bit down the center of your nose. You guys, they're so dual purpose. Okay, are you guys ready for some eyes? What do we think so far? Could we wear this to my daughter's school Christmas Valentine's Day party, I think it's totally a wearable look. Like, it's Valentine's Day, right? Before we get into eyes, let's talk about setting powder. So if you're somebody who likes your makeup to be matte in certain areas, or you want to set it, which means you want minimal movement in those areas, now is the time to grab your setting powder. Just tap in and make sure you don't have anything sitting in your fine lines and wrinkles. If you need to use your finger, since cream doesn't dry, you can always tap that out. But now I'm just gonna press, and I'm staying away from like this bag here. It just is what it is. And I'm pressing under. So less is more. Press. If you have large pores, like I do right here, you can tap some right there, and just, if you take away some of that reflection, then your pores won't be as noticeable. And then lastly, I'm gonna go around my marionette lines here. If there's anywhere else that you would want to set, like in the summer, I do my T-zone a lot. I probably don't need that right now. I'm not very sweaty, but you know. Now, before I go into eyes, I'm going to be more generous, and I am going to set the cream that I put on my eyes. Remember, I color corrected and fixed like the tone of my eyelids. Well, I'm going to use powder eyeshadows, and I want them to be blendable, so I'm going to set my eyes. Now I need to do something with my brows. If you are somebody who has crazy brows like I do, we do have a brow wax. It goes right in here. You want to activate it with water. So if you're doing your makeup in your bathroom, you can just run your spoolie under the faucet, and then you rub it into the brow wax, and that will give you the ability to lift, and it will give you some hold. If you want them to hold like really hard, you like a hard brow, then you would want to do setting spray to activate it. But this just helps open up the eye. So like typically I have these sparse areas here, my brow comes down, it looks all crazy. Just this little bit right here, especially with a hooded eye, helps lift that up and give me more lid space. Plus, overall it makes my eye look more open. You can go in and fill in your brows with a shadow color or a contour color if you need to know which ones would be best for you. Just reach out. I'll be happy to let you know. Typically I keep my eyeshadows on the third level of my palette. I like the triple decker. This is called a double decker because you have two decks, right? The first one has the mirror. The second one does not. It fits 9 on each level, or 18 if you're doing the small tins. But I have been dying to use these. So I've been using the square palette that came out for the artist birthday party for either like an eyeshadow 4 or 2 lip and cheeks, or like a balm and a lip and cheek. But today's eye look is gonna consist of 3 of the 4 colors from the artist birthday. This is Strawberry Fields, Spectre, Skyfall, and the shade of the month, which is Kiss. So let me swatch Kiss for you so you can see how close does that look to the La Cienega, just with like a little more peach, right? So if you like a monochromatic look, Kiss, La Cienega, you're gonna be good to go. So this is gonna be kind of the star of the show on our lid. We're just gonna press some of this on to get a pop of color, and we're gonna keep everything else a little bit more subtle. So we're gonna start with Strawberry Fields. And if you haven't seen this swatched, it is very light. It looks like it's gonna have like a lot more pink pigmentation to it. I have been wearing this on the base of my lid when I wear pink, or when I want to put a sparkly pop on my eyelid, just to give myself a nice base of color without like a ton of pigmentation. Hooded eye ladies, this will absolutely work for you. So I'm going to take the eyeshadow brush, I'm going to swirl, tap in. Now dust off that excess, and what I'm going to do is wash this color over the lid. You see how it just gives a little bit of a base to work with. Kind of helps even out the eye tone, but I am going to go into the crease and up onto the hood of the eye, where I would recommend you put that mid-tone matte for a hooded eye. A little bit more here. Wash this across the lid. Get off the excess so I don't have fallout. This is also why I like to do my eyes first, even though sometimes it's really hard to do your eyeshadow first, especially if you do like multiple colors. It feels so off. But I like it because then I don't get, if I do get any fallout on my face, I can wipe it off easy. Okay, there we go. So we've started with a base of the Strawberry Fields. Can you guys see that? And now I'm gonna go into Spectre, which is actually this, they describe it as an espresso brown on the website. It's definitely a gray, but it's a gray we don't have. I swatch it against our other grays in a previous video if you wanna see that. But now let's talk about that hooded eye look, right? So come above that outer portion of your eye when your eye is still open and tap the hood. And now windshield wiper that back and forth. By coming above the crease, that's how you create more of an open eye because your hood is coming down over the crease. This will allow that color to still be seen. So I just like to start by tapping it up there. It gives me an idea of where I need to work with. My eye is open. I've tapped the color there. Now I can tilt my head back a little bit. I can close my eye and I can windshield wiper. I can do these small circular motions out towards the brow bone and just diffuse the color. Everything about eyeshadow that I have learned, it's all about the blend, baby. Small circular motions out towards the brow because we're lifting our eyes up, not dragging them down. I'm gonna go back into that Spectre, tap off the excess, and I'm gonna press it into the outer corner. It's gonna help add some depth to our eyeshadow look, but it's also gonna help everything blend together. It's not like I just have a stripe above my eye. So press, 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 and now circular motion, blending it all together. And there we go. I am gonna halo underneath my eye. So in lieu of eyeliner, I'm switching to this side of the brush, tapping off the excess. I'm gonna come to that outer corner, and I'm just gonna smudge this under the eye. And that's gonna give me a little bit of a smoky effect just because of the color. But it also, I've noticed that eyeliner, especially like black liquid under my eye, really ages me. Where this will be a little bit more forgiving. And here's a little trick for you. If you halo under your eye, it actually helps set that cream so that like your mascara doesn't transfer because it has that barrier between the cream, which is emollient, and your mascara. So that's one of the things that I like about haloing. The other is that it carves out the eye without being as drastic. Let's see if we need any more blending. But you guys, we're literally almost done. And like you could be done right now with some mascara and it would look super pretty. But we need some kiss. So here's my thought. I haven't tried this yet. So my thought was I'm gonna use my finger, okay? And I'm gonna press on that middle of the eye and then just tap a little bit in the inner corner. And then we're gonna blend. Press it. And I'm going to the middle of the eye first because that's where I'm putting the most product. It's gonna cause the most reflection because there's a shimmer to this and it's gonna cause my eye to pop. Now I'm just bringing a little bit in to the inner corner, tapping it on. And then we can always build up if we want. I don't know. I think I'm liking just kind of this subtle pop. I mean, it definitely has a vibe to it without being too much. I'm gonna add a little bit of this shimmery black to my lash line. But I really like that. What do you guys think? It's like simple, but it still is a look. And I feel like because it's kind of close in tone here, that it all pulls together. Not too drastic that it makes my lips look weird. Sometimes we're just winging it, right? Sometimes you have to play and see what happens. But I think we're good. So let's grab the etch brush. This is my favorite brush since it released. It has this sharp edge to it. And what I really like about it is it's really good for smudging. Let's see if I can do this here. Yes, we're gonna smudge it along the top lash line and just like fill in those areas where I have sparse eyelashes. So it's actually more like in the lash line than it is necessarily like creating a thick eyeliner, but you can definitely see it. And that will get in here. Just end up giving a little more fullness to our lashes. It's subtle, but it defines the eye. Now I'm gonna take this other end and I'm gonna take just the smallest amount and smudge it in this outer corner, just to pull everything together. Make sure that's smudged out. Can you see that? Okay, I'm gonna go do the other eye and some mascara and we'll be back. This is our finished look. I'm kind of digging it. What do you guys think? Can you get a good visual? Okay, I put my mascara on and I wanted to share with you guys, if you haven't heard me talk about this before, this is Quadra. I will put a link so you can check it out in the description below, but this is a lash growth serum plus tubing mascara and primer all in one. So if you're experiencing postpartum hair loss, like your eyelashes are falling out, or if you're somebody like me who got that at about the age of 35, where they were getting, one, really brittle, and two, you were starting to see gaps in your actual lash line because your eyelashes were falling out. The awesome thing about this product is it replaces your mascara, so you don't need a primer. It's a tubing mascara, so it creates like tubes around your eyelashes and comes off with water, so it's not going to be difficult to take off. When I use something that's waterproof, like in order for me to get it off, I'm like removing eyelashes because they're that sensitive. But also it goes on your lashes, not your lash line. So if you've ever used a product or you've seen anybody use a product where they put the actual product on their lash line, that was me. That was my experience. The product worked great. It turned my eyelid dark purple at the lash line, and I didn't realize what it was for the longest time. And then once I figured it out and I gave it time, it did go away mostly. It's not completely gone, but I've been able to replace that with this, because as soon as I stopped using the lash growth serum about 3 months later, my lashes started getting really thin. But this is Quadra. It works great, but it is an everyday use product. Like if you want to see growth in your lashes, then you want to put this mascara on daily, but it will replace all those other products. And this alone was half the price of what my lash serum alone was. So I was buying lash serum, primer, and 2 different types of mascara because I like 2 different wands. I always have. And I'm able to replace that with this, which has 2 different wands. So you get the fullness and the lengthening all in one wand, and it has the growth serum in it. One last thing I wanted to show you, and then I will let you go for the week, is if you ever need to clean up your eye afterwards, like if you ever think you got a little bit too far outside of that lash line, I'm just taking a little bit of my brightener from the outer corner here up to the corner of my brow. I am just very subtly cleaning that up. So where I got some of that gray, that specter, this just cleans up and it kind of sharpens that edge, gives that nice final look to it. That is it for today. This is the final look. I will drop everything in the comments, the colors that we used. I'll even see if Target still has this and drop the link, the mascara, all the goodies. If you guys ever need a custom color match, I will put that below as well. As an artist with Seint, my responsibility is to match you to the shades that you need. We'll take all the guesswork out. We'll build a palette for you, and then you can pick your lip and cheeks and your bronzers and all the fun stuff. You can add eyeshadows as you just fall in love more and more. But everything is customized to you, and not only do we pick out the shades, but I will help you build the routine in like a step-by-step document. Like I will send you a document so you have something to follow along with as you learn this new makeup. So as always, you guys, thanks for being here. We will definitely be back next week with part 2 of our brush series, and keep your eye out this week on shorts, or maybe we'll do a short video on our part 3 for 2 shade eye looks. See you guys next week.